Good evening, sixth graders. We are going to begin our relationship unit when we return from Thanksgiving break. And I wanted to get started on it a little bit before we get back, just so you have some basic information on relationships. So there's a couple of things that I want to go over. The first is, what is a relationship? And when we do this in class and we discuss it in class, a lot of times students get the idea of, first of all, they think it's a dating relationship or a romantic relationship. And that truly is one kind of relationship. But we have relationships every day of our life without even realizing all the relationships we're in. And so, how do you determine if you're just talking to somebody and you don't have a relationship, or you do? So the key is that it is an ongoing interaction between people. So of course, you think about family or friends. That's pretty easy. But what about if you go into a store and buy something and you see the person once and you don't see them again? And even though you've talked to them, they may say, "Hi, how you doing?" You might say, "I'm okay." That is not an ongoing. It's not ongoing. You probably will never see them again. However, if you stop at the same store after school to pick up snacks day after day, or several days a week, and the same clerk is there that takes care of you, and eventually, you talk, and then you tell him that, you go to Keystone Oaks, and he goes to Keystone Oaks also, and you start talking about classes, and every time you go in there, you chat a little bit. It might only be 3, 4, 5 minutes. So that's something to think about. Now, do you have a relationship with that person? Well, yeah, because you're starting to share information about yourself, and it's an ongoing interaction. You see that person every day. And even though it's not a close relationship, it is still an interaction that goes on each time you see that person. So yes, it's basically considered a relationship. So what does that mean? We need to ask ourselves. So, types of relationships. Of course, family have relationships. And again, some are close and some aren't. For me, in my family, there's certain people I only see maybe at weddings or funerals. And other people I speak to on a more regular basis. If you live with your family, you see them every day. So, of course, the relationship is going to be closer. There's friends, and for me, I have friends that live far away, so I may only speak to them every once in a while. And once again, I have friends that are here, and so I talk to them more frequently, and I see them more often. Acquaintances are relationships where you could say the clerk at the store is an acquaintance. An acquaintance might be a neighbor. An acquaintance might be a classmate that you really don't talk to unless it's about academic topics. Acquaintances, for me, some acquaintances are people that I play tennis with, and I really don't see them unless I'm at the tennis courts. So acquaintances are not people that we share very close information. They're not people that we would go to talk to if we have a problem, but they're people in our lives that we interact with. And they're important in our lives because, for example, my tennis friends are acquaintances, and I need them in my life. I have fun with them when I play tennis. But it's, again, they're not people that I would necessarily be close with and have conversations where I give them information that I'm trusting them with. You have teammates, for those people that play sports. For people that don't play sports, maybe you have people that you share common interests with. And when you're in those hobbies or those activities, you see these people. Colleagues are people, for me, people that I work with. And so your colleagues are actually your fellow students. Now, colleagues can also be friends, but again, it just depends on how close the relationship is. And business, people that do business with one another on a regular basis. So if you have a person who sells pharmaceutical drugs, those are medication type drugs, and they see a doctor to sell their pharmaceutical medications to, and they may only see the doctor, 3 or 4 times a year, but they've been doing it on an ongoing basis for a couple of years. That's a business relationship. If you go in to buy something and you never see that person again, then again, it's not a relationship. And then, of course, there's dating and romantic relationships. So there's all kinds of different types of relationships. But there are 3 main categories of relationships, and they are pretty simple. There are authority relationships, subordinate relationships, and peer relationships. Now, authority relationships are people that you have a relationship with that can tell you what to do, and you need to listen to them. So, for example, you might have a coach, you have a parent, you have a babysitter, you have a teacher. Those are all authority figures. For me, I don't have babysitters, and I don't have to listen to my family members. However, I have a boss at work, and in fact, I have several bosses. So my fellow teachers, they are not my authority figures, but the principal is. The principal can tell me what he needs me to do, and I need to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble. Then the superintendent is also my boss, but the superintendent is also my principal's boss. And then, of course, there's a school board. So these are authority figures in my life, and we all have them. We will have them all our lives, authority figures. Then subordinate figures are the people which you are in charge of. So if you have a younger brother or sister, or you babysit, and you tell them, well, it's time to go to bed, or you need to clean up, or you need to eat, or you need to take a bath, whatever, those things are what the person that is in your charge needs to do. So they are your subordinate. So that's a subordinate relationship to you. And then there's the biggie. These are our peers. And whether we are close or it's more of an acquaintance relationship, if they cannot tell you what to do and you cannot tell them what to do, then it is a peer relationship. Now, our friends fall into our peers. Family members fall into our peers when we have cousins our own age, or we have brothers or sisters that are close to our age. That's a peer relationship. Friends, of course, are peer relationships. Teammates are peer relationships. So these categories are how we categorize a relationship. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Nearpod, and you are going to complete, I believe it'll be 2 questions. And when you look on Google Classroom or you look on TeacherWeb, the code will be on there for you to go into Nearpod and to answer the questions. The questions are very easy. They're based on this lesson. And remember not to log in. That's something that I do. I log in Nearpod, you do not. You just use the session code and you put it in, you type it into the space where it says session code, and you hit enter. And you should be able to follow through from there. Like I said, we're going to be doing quite a few lessons on relationships. They're important for you to learn about because we're in relationships our whole life, and it's important for you to know how to not only get along with people, but how to work with them, how to be with them, how to live with them, and even your neighbors. Even though you don't think that you live with them, you sort of do. You're in the same neighborhood. So it's important that we learn how to speak and act in our relationships, and it's important for you to know how vital they are to our own health, physically, mentally, emotionally. And so that's what we're going to be looking at over the next few days we get to after we get back from Thanksgiving. So have a nice holiday, and I'll see you when you get back.